This is the only video you need to score high for TOEFL Writing Task 2, the Writing for an Academic Discussion question. This is not just a tips and tricks video. I'm going to show you exactly what to do in the beginning, middle, and end of your writing task. Not just that, I'm going to show you sample questions, sample answers, and show you a few things that you can do to improve your writing. A couple little sneaky little secrets I'll share with you throughout this video. If you stay around to the end, I will share Test Resources' secret formula. For how to make sure you score a high scoring response for this task. Now, some of you are just here for templates. I'm going to put that on the screen right now so you can see it, but I will actually show you how to use them on the test and in this writing task. So let's get to it. First thing, what will the question look like? So once the question comes up on the screen, it looks something like this. This is from ETS. A timer will start and it will start counting down 10 minutes. You will have 10 minutes to read and write and edit. That's it. So it'll go by really fast. You'll see a timer counting down as you continue to go through it. This is an online discussion. If you've ever taken an online course before, it's supposed to look like that. And there will be directions in the beginning. It'll tell you the class that it's in. Besides that, the directions are almost always the same, so you don't really need to read them very carefully. The professor is going to pose a question, and that's going to come a little bit later on after the teacher speaks, down here. Then, after the question, the students will respond. There will be 2 students, and they will respond to the question. Now, what type of question might you see on test day? It could be about sociology, technology, business, political science, or education. These are some popular topics, but no matter what the question, everything you need to know is included in the passage. So don't worry if you don't know about the topic. Use the passage to give you ideas. When the students give their opinions, one student will have one opinion, one student will have another opinion. Usually they disagree, not always. Sometimes they both have the same opinion, but a lot of times there's one opinion that agrees and another opinion that disagrees. And your job is to add to the discussion when you write. And I'm gonna emphasize that, add to the discussion when you write. Please do not just copy what they wrote in the discussion. You wanna make sure you add vocabulary, add information, add ideas. Very important. The timing will look something like this. I would just take 1 or 2 minutes to read the discussion and then start writing as soon as you feel comfortable and as soon as you're ready, and then spend the last minute editing. So it's gonna go by really fast. And you wanna aim to write at least 120 words. ETS recommends 100, I recommend a little bit more. Try to aim for 120. Besides adding to the discussion, you're also graded on your grammar, your vocabulary, your reasons and examples, and also having very few typos, and of course your word count. So again, aim for at least 120 words. Also, make sure you practice without spell check so you can get used to writing correctly and spelling things correctly without having too many typos or capitalization mistakes, things like that. Now let's get into the good stuff and actually look at an example and show you how to write for this response. So this is an example question here. When you see the question, you want to look at what class it is, so that'll give you some idea of the topic. And also you want to read what the teacher says. Basically, they're going to give some background information first and then give the question. The question here is, given these changes, do you believe that automation will ultimately benefit or harm workers? That's the question. Do you think it's going to benefit or harm workers? If you need more context, if you're not sure about this topic, you can start reading what the teacher says before the question. That usually gives you some idea of the topic. And then what you want to do after that is you want to scan what the student said. So Juan says, I believe automation will benefit the workforce, and he gives some reasons why he thinks it'll benefit the workforce. And Alice doesn't think that way, and she disagrees. So you can pause the video and read that if you like, but that is the basic idea of what they said, and this is probably what you'll see on test day. Now, something to keep in mind is that you're adding to the discussion. So you don't have to say anything that they said. Actually, these speakers said you don't have to include anything that they said in your writing, but it's still a good idea to scan and get an idea of what the two students said. So let's get right to it and start writing the essay. So the first thing is that you're going to start right off in giving your opinion. So in my opinion, I believe automation will end up harming workers 10 or 20 years down the road. Really simple, right to the point. In my opinion is the first phrase in your template. You don't have to use this phrase, but any phrase that you can use, personally, I believe that, anything like that is fine as well. But you want to just get right to the point and say how you feel about the topic. You don't need to have something general about the topic or some fancy introduction or a hook. Remember, this is an academic discussion on a computer. You just get right to the point. That's it. After you give your general opinion, you get more specific by giving a specific reason for your opinion. My personal belief is that when a company has a choice between compensating an employee or utilizing cheap technology, the company will almost always choose to use technology. Okay, so I tried to use some difficult vocabulary there. You don't have to write like me, but I wanted to show you, what could be helpful to get a higher score. Utilizing technology, compensating employees. So instead of pay, I say compensate. It's a hard word to use, but I can use it, so I'm going to use it here. But it's up to you. Don't get too stressed if you can't write this way. So that's the second thing. So you give your opinion, you give a specific reason. What do you do next? Well, then you give an example to help explain your reason. Really short, just one sentence. For example, the car manufacturing industry used to employ tens of thousands of workers, but due to advances in technology, the workforce has been reduced to a fraction of what it was 50 years ago. After that, you want to acknowledge the point of view of one of the speakers and explain why you agree or disagree. So this template will work for agree or disagree, but we're going to talk about disagree here. While Juan raised a relevant point about efficiency leading to the creation of new jobs, I believe he is missing a critical idea. So I'm going to expand on this critical idea that Juan is missing, and I'm going to use the phrase to be more specific. You can say specifically, you can say some other phrases to help you expand on something, like to further illustrate this point. You could say something fancy like that too. It's up to you. I like this phrase. To be more specific, high-skilled jobs like programming and game design are already disappearing due to the advent of AI technology. And that's the template. That's it. There's really not a fancy introduction or conclusion. The conclusion is optional. You don't have to use it. I have plenty of words here. This is about 150 words, maybe a little bit more than that. It takes me 8-9 minutes to write this. I don't have a lot of time. Don't need a conclusion. That's fine. Now, why don't you need a conclusion? It's because you're usually repeating the same grammar and vocabulary. And so you've already used this vocabulary. You don't really need to say it again. If you're really struggling with word count, then you can use it, but it's not necessary. And you can use a phrase like in conclusion, so to sum up, something like that. So here's the template, pretty simple. And also, I just wanted to show you that it also works for agree. So if I was going to agree with what Alice said, and I just wanted to explain that, while Alice raised a relevant point about efficiency leading to the creation of new jobs, I believe she is missing a critical idea. To be more specific, and then I say the critical idea that she missed. So I changed a couple things, but the template remains the same. Be sure to download the TOEFL Writing 24 Plus guide. It's completely free and has this template and also other templates. It has ideas of what you can include in your writing. It has a self-grading rubric, sample essays, sample questions, tons of free stuff. Check it out, link in the description. Now, there's one important thing to know about this question type. It's a secret formula to help you write a response that will always get you a high score. If you can do it. It's a little tricky. But before I get to that, I got to shout out the TST Prep TOEFL Emergency Course. This is a perfect fit for any TOEFL student who has less than a month to prepare. We have study plans for 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, and 1 month. It gives you all the practice tests you need, all the tips and tricks videos you need, everything included in this one practice pack. So check that out, the tstprep.com emergency course. Everything you need to get your score as quickly and as easily as possible. Link to the description to an offer only for the YouTube audience, so make sure you follow that link. Okay, so the secret formula. Now, I have to give a shout out to Michael Goodine at Test Resources. He came up with this secret formula, tested it with the ETS writing grader, and basically found that if you include a few things in your writing, it'll usually lead to a higher score. Now, what are those things? It's 1, subordinating conjunction, and 3, coordinating conjunctions. Now, this is some grammar terminology. A subordinating conjunction is when you use the word while. And so it's a longer sentence, has usually 2 clauses. While Juan raised a relevant point about efficiency leading to the creation of new jobs, I believe he is missing a critical point. So why does that help your score? Not only is it a longer sentence, not only does it use a comma, but also it's a difficult grammatical form to use. Since it's difficult to use and use correctly, it's going to help improve your score if you can use one of those sentences correctly. And that's why it's part of the template. Also, you want to have 3 coordinating conjunctions. There's a famous acronym, fanboys, words like for, and, but, or, yet, and so, I believe is what it is. But so you want to try to use those words, so, or but, or and. And is not as helpful, but anyway, if you use these words, they help you write longer sentences. And again, that helps improve your score for writing. Longer sentences show that you have a more in-depth knowledge of English grammar. So, for example, the car manufacturing industry used to employ tens of thousands of workers, but due to advances in technology, the workforce has been reduced. So, I have a longer sentence here because I used one of those words, in this case, but. So you don't have to do that. You know, it could get pretty stressful. I've had students stress out with their writing trying to include this. Try to include at least one of each. The template includes a subordinating conjunction, so it's a bit easier to use. And just try to have 1 or 2 coordinating conjunctions when you're practicing. If you can have 3, that's great. But that's it. Hopefully by now you feel like you know everything you need for TOEFL writing question number 2. Check out this video about question number 1 if you need more help with the writing section. I hope you found that helpful. Thanks for watching. My name is Teacher Josh from TST Prep, and I will see you in the next one.